Hello, welcome to Unit 1 of EQ 111. So excited you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about, um, well, lots of different things. So let's go ahead and I want to share the syllabus first. Um, Here we go. All right, you should see this. This is our course schedule, and we're on Unit 1. So, Unit 1 is, you can see on the topic of why do communication skills matter, the importance of dialogic civility. This is exciting. So, you're going to be doing reading chapters 1 through 4. So, these are the assignments. Read chapters 1 through 4 of Crucial Conversations. That's your textbook for this unit. You're going to watch the first unit introductory video, which is right here. So you're doing this now. CNQs for Unit 1, your concepts and questions. You're going to do the attendance and participation discussion board posts and case study 1. Any questions, please reach out. But this should be all pretty straightforward here. I'm going to go ahead and move things around a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to pull up the next thing we're going to, our PowerPoint. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to share this with you. Present. There we go. Okay, so why do communication skills matter? The importance of dialogic civility. So before we dive in too far into this, I want to talk a little bit about what dialogic civility is. We're going to be talking about dialogue, and dialogue, according to the authors of Crucial Conversations, is this free flowing of information between two or more people. It means that people are able to be their authentic selves with one another, that there's this connection that's not forced or coerced, but it's authentic and it's free flowing, right? It's something that doesn't force one another, but it has there's a connection. There is a exchange of ideas, or there's the building of trust. There's all kinds of things that go into dialogue. When we look at dialogic civility, it's really getting at this idea that we can have back and forth conversations, free flowing conversations and ideas that are rooted in a commitment to treating each other with respect, committed towards acting civilly towards each other. And that can be in interpersonal relationships, but also in the broader kind of public sphere. It means that we're committed to seeing each other as humans, as people who are fundamentally deserving of respect. This ties in very much into the Catholic intellectual tradition and Duquesne's Catholic spirit and values, right? Being able to recognize the humanity and the value of each person we encounter. So that's the idea of dialogic civility, and I hope you can start to see how important it is. I mean, we live in a world right now with a lot of polarized communication, which means people are entrenched in what they think is right, oftentimes without any willingness to move, change, or adjust, or shift, or learn. Right? Um, I think of some of the beliefs I've held on to where I had no ability to acknowledge someone else's point of view. And that gets pretty lonely, and it can also be pretty rigid sometimes. Um, so, importance of dialogic civility. Okay, let's talk a little bit here. So in the book and in the readings, they're asking this question: what makes a conversation crucial? And there are three things they identify. Uh, Opinions vary, stakes are high, and emotions run high. These are the three elements that make a conversation crucial. Let's unpack these a little bit. So first, opinions vary. Wouldn't really be a crucial conversation if we just agreed about everything, right? Like, so my wife and I are pretty agreeable with each other, right? When we're going to the grocery store and one of us asks, "What kind of ice cream do you want?" Whatever you'd like, right? She says, "I'd like mint ice cream," and I'll say, "Yes, mint ice cream sounds great." Or I'll say, "I want chocolate ice cream," and she'll say, "Yes, chocolate ice cream sounds great," right? Opinions aren't varying, probably not a crucial conversation because we're on the same page, right? Although there might be some exceptions to that, but in general, opinions vary, and this makes it a partly it makes it a crucial conversation. Right. Um, I'm thinking of a couple of moments in my life where there have been varying opinions on things. Um, going to an artistic example. So I'm a musician. I was in a rock band for my late teens and early 20s. We toured around the country, did 3 albums. It was a lot of fun. We never became big and famous, but we really met a lot of really cool people, and we had the opportunity to see the country, and it was just really impactful in my development as a person. And when we would go into the studio and create an album, there were a lot of varying opinions, right? I play piano and I was the lead singer, and I wanted to make all music that was all emotional piano music, like big piano ballads that like wear your heart on your sleeve and just slow and all the feels, that kind of thing. My best friend was our guitarist, and he was also the producer of our music. And he was a huge fan of 80s hair metal, which is very different than emotional piano music. And so he wanted every song to sound like, I don't know, like something from the 80s. And somewhere in between, we had to find something we wanted to record together. Our first album is terrible. I would never recommend it to anyone because you could hear that kind of conflict where it's like whiplash, where we go back and forth between these shredding guitar solos and this emotional piano music. So opinions vary, and conversations are important in those moments, right? Crucial conversations. I didn't know how to have crucial conversations a lot of times when I was in my early 20s and late teens as we were recording some of these albums. And I remember there being just a lot of frustration because my best friend and I didn't know how to communicate those things. We learned over time, but it was painful, right? The second element is that stakes are high. Can you think of some moments where stakes have been high, where you've been communicating? Yeah. Yeah. I think especially in romantic relationships when stakes are high, when you're telling someone how you feel, when you are trying to express maybe after an argument how someone you love and care about made you feel with the words they used. Those are all important things where stakes can be pretty high, right? When the relationship is on the line. And then finally, the last element is emotions running high, especially in some of those instances where you're close with someone, you care about them, and something that was said or done makes everyone feel really keenly about this, right? I also think of in organizations, emotions can also run really high. Um, we're in the middle right now, where I work full time. I work at a university over on the West Coast in the Bay Area, and we're in the middle of discerning a possible relocation. And it's challenging because we're in a place that we've been for decades, and we're looking at moving to the larger campus location. And we're a satellite campus right now. And what we find is that a lot of people, whether they're students, faculty, alumni, staff, people part of this organization care deeply about where we've been, and they also care deeply about where we're going. But it can be hard when you are in a place that you've been for a long time. You have a lot of memories about it, and then you're looking at uprooting some of those things, right? Emotions can run high. Do you have moments like that where maybe you felt that? Maybe it was when you were making a decision about a move, actually. I know I've made moves a couple of times across the country, and emotions are high when you're making some of these decisions and you have to have some of these conversations with the people around you, right? Okay. Now, the research, why do good communication skills matter? How are crucial how can those skills improve your life? Doing them well, improve your life. So the book is helpful, and I don't know, it's not like this isn't like a magic wand that cures all your problems, but there are some things that can help, right? So handling crucial conversations well can increase your influence. The book tells us that people who routinely hold crucial conversations and hold them well are able to express controversial and even risky opinions in a way that gets heard. The number of times I have to do this on a weekly basis, even daily basis, is very, very high. Uh, I'm in a professional role as a director of marketing and communications, and I find myself engaging in this kind of communication all the time, expressing controversial, risky opinions, challenging the status quo. You're going to find in your professional life that this is incredibly important. And this is how leaders define themselves in a crowd is by being able to handle these crucial conversations that matter. Right, the stakes are high, emotions are high, right? The opinions vary, and they can express something that is kind, that is thoughtful, and that keeps us moving forward. That's huge. That's like in my opinion, I think that's the number one ingredient of leadership, is being able to do that because that's what keeps things moving forward. Right. It can improve your organization. Kills, silence fails. You can predict months or years in advance with nearly 90% accuracy which projects will fail. And the predictor of success or failure was whether people could hold specific, relevant, crucial conversations. So let me give an example of this. Um, let's say you're part of a project moving a product to market or something like that, and you notice that there's a flaw with this product. Something is wrong with it, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people pushing this to get forward, and if you said anything, it would cause the project to delay by 9 months, or 3 months, or 6 months, or 5 weeks, whatever it is. It's just a chain when you're doing this kind of work. Things are on such a tight timeline, and they have ripple effects that if you were to throw a wrench in the works, it's going to throw the whole thing off. And you can either say something or not, right? And let's say you choose not to say something, and the product goes forward. You're hoping it will work, that it's not a big deal, that you're overestimating how important it is, and then it gets out into the market, and then I mean, the problems can range from everything from the company having to do a recall because things just aren't working properly to like fatal consequences, right? Things breaking, things being unsafe. Um, there's just so many different things that go wrong, and then the organization has to deal with not only the human like elements of that, like the moral cost and all of that, but also it affects the bottom line as well when an organization's reputation is damaged. Um, so you're going to see over and over again that having crucial conversations improves organizations, improves everything from your workplace to the club you're part of, to the homeowners association, to the study group that you're a part of in school, right? Crucial conversations helps to move things forward. Strengthen your relationships. Crucial conversations play a huge role in helping us navigate conflict, right? Everyone argues about things, right? Arguments come up. My wife and I, we argue about things at times, even though we always choose the same ice cream, right? There are other things we disagree about. But the key is how do you have an argument and still keep walking together, right? To not go your separate ways or split up when there's an argument, to be able to handle it and walk through it, to work through it, right? How you argue matters, preserving the other person's dignity, their letting them save face at times, being able to say what is true and what you're feeling, but also giving grace and at times offering forgiveness. Those are all important things for strengthening relationships. Crucial conversations can boost your health, right? At least that's what the book claims. Although I would, this doesn't seem too off to me, honestly. You look at mountains of research that suggest the negative feelings we hold in and the emotional pain we suffer as we stumble our way through unhealthy conversations, and how those can slowly eat away at our health. I know so many people who have so many health issues, and they're tied back to things like not feeling heard, unforgiveness, um, uh, uh, being unable to process or walk through difficult conversations, crucial difficult conversations, right? There's a couple of books out there that like catalog this in multiple other kind of fields where our body holds in all of these things, and they keep a record of the kinds of traumas we go through, the kinds of things we don't work through. So crucial conversations are important for influence, organization, relationships, and health, right? Let's talk just a little bit more about dialogue. So we talked a little bit about the book's definition, which gets at dialogue as being this free flow of information, right? But there's also another kind of field of dialogue studies within the field of communication that really goes a lot deeper than just this chapter. And if you're interested in it, I encourage you to check out figures like Martin Buber or Mikhail Bakhtin. There's a bunch of really cool voices out there. But Martin Buber, he was this Jewish philosopher, thinker, activist who was really important in the early 20th century. And he was born in Germany originally, but then immigrated over to Palestine, to Israel, what became Israel. And he lived on a kibbutz, and he was Jewish in nationality, Israeli. But he also helped to facilitate really important dialogues with the Palestinians, with folks who were not Israeli. And it was fascinating. I think he was honored by both Israelis and Palestinians at his funeral. And he over and over again kind of brought us back to a concept of I and thou, right? So um, when we are engaged with in dialogue, we bring our whole selves to the engagement, right? We bring as much as we can. We come to this without trying to put up a lot of masks, but we try to approach the other as an I, right? As a full person. And then when we come to the other person and we're engaging with them, we look at them as a thou, not just a an it or an object or something that can be controlled or manipulated, but as a human deserving dignity and respect and recognizing that there's alterity, which is just a fancy word for saying radical difference, that I can't control this other person. I can't read their mind. I can't make them feel something, but they're different and they come from a unique place and background that I can learn from and try to understand, but I can't ever fully grasp it, fully understand it, right? And then in that process, we see the face of the other. And there's something really important for Buber is this idea of the between. It's this almost sacred space between uh, people who engaged in dialogue, where we're stepping out and we're meeting someone in this space, and it's almost mystical for Buber because there's this incredible connection that happens in dialogue. The book talks about a pool of shared meaning that can happen in dialogue, and this is um, the idea that we bring our thoughts and our experiences related to a topic to every conversation we have, and that influences where the conversation go, and that all the partners in that conversation do the same. And um, one of the obligations we have in that is to make sure that everyone feels safe to add meaning to the shared pool, that it's not just me monopolizing the conversation or my experiences dominating the decision making we're doing, but that everyone feels like they can contribute and have a voice. The good news is that dialogue skills can be learned. This is not something you're born with or not born with. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're great at it right now or like you feel like you're terrible at it. You can improve, and if you think you're great at it, you might need to improve, right? I've had moments where I'm like, I've arrived. I'm a great communicator, right? I have a PhD in rhetoric and communication, and then I fall flat on my face and I say something just unthinking or unkind or something that was thoughtless. And I have to go back and pick my pride off the floor and apologize and try to make things right. And it's challenging, right? And maybe I've also been at times where I felt like I just really am really bad at communicating, and like I can't express what I want to say. I can't listen. And in those moments too, it's okay. You can learn and you can take a step at a time. And this class is meant to be a place that's safe for you to do that. So, fool's choice is an important term in the book. You'll see it's this the fool's choice is the idea that you have to choose between telling the truth and keeping a friend. And the book leads us to this idea that you can do both, that you can tell the truth in a way that can be heard and can be understood and still retain and actually help a relationship thrive even more than if you had avoided the crucial conversation. All right, this is dialogue, dialogic civility. I really hope you are able to grab something from this that's helpful to you. And reach out if you have any questions as you make your way through Unit 1. All right, take care.